Oh, look at that. Oh,
The stream is live.
wow. And now we have to actually do that intro thing that David made. And David's made new intros, so I don't know if you have a new intro or not. So we're going to find out. It's very exciting.
Okay.
I
I'm
got my
listening.
pants on for this. I'm listening. I'm watching. This is, you got to watch. This is a whole thing.
Okay.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Well, here we go. It's the man that promises you nothing and delivers. It's the veritable man motor mouth. It's Roald Woods who feels the need to call himself Rob Vega. It somehow makes him feel important. Anyway, do have a listen and try not to throw up.
Now I feel better.
So it would appear, because Steve has just mentioned that some people have got new intros. We don't. So we're not in the inner circle. What was that movie? Meet the Fockers or whatever it was.
The Fockers, not in the circle of trust. Yes,
we're not in the circle of. We're not in the Dave circle of trust. So we didn't get a new intro. Hey, Dave, screw you, Dave. Screw you, Dave. Screw you, Dave. Thanks for the new intro. Not actually, it's fine.
What's really funny is he did like Lost Dollar Business Club and none of us knew. So last week when we did before the interview, we put the intro on and we're all like, what the hell is this? So like, nobody had a clue. So it was awesome. So yeah, so how's any day's a surprise.
So how's your day been, Dave? I'm Dave.
I'm Steve. I'm the good looking one. Thank you. This is Dave here, right there. That's Dave in the bathing suit, and that's me pointing at him in the creation of.
Oh my God!
You've never seen that?
My God. No, I haven't. Thank God. Now
they're on t-shirts, hoodies, and coffee mugs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. We're whores.
So,
and wait, you know what else? We have a Patreon account now. So if you want to be an executive producer on our show, sign up for that, and we'll put your name at the end of every show for a month.
A what account?
A Patreon account. It's basically how you prostitute yourself and your show. So that's
let me write that down. You had me at prostitute.
I figured as much. Yeah, it's how you prostitute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm a vocal prostitute, so that works for me.
I've heard that about you, you little vocal prostitute.
I was a salesman, and now I'm a vocal prostitute. I was a vocal salesman, and then I became a vocal prostitute, selling myself. Yeah, whatever.
You know, somebody got to do it.
So where we at? All right. So there's so much going on right now.
I have a question for you though. If someone steals your identity, and you kill them, is that suicide?
Yeah, I mean, you could. What about the insurance? Could you get paid out?
I don't know. If they stole your identity and you killed them, wouldn't that be suicide? Yeah.
Well, if you went into the insurance company and you said, "Listen, I'm dead. Look, see," and I've got a policy. I mean, technically,
you get the money.
Do you still get the money? That's that. I don't care about the suicide part, but I care about the money part. Do you still get paid out?
I know that's a good. I was just thinking, and then I heard about my friend he's an electrician, and then his son got in trouble. He grounded him. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty good. So don't bump him here till Thursday.
No. Are we going to do that? Fine, Steve. Here we go. You know the Earth is 70% water, right?
Yes, I do.
And obviously, it's not carbonated. It's not sparkling, right?
But that's a shock to a lot of people. But go ahead.
Yeah. So that means the Earth is flat. Anyway.
Okay.
I can do this all day. I mean, I can do this all day. So yeah, that's fine. I got lots of that. But anyway, well, there's so many stupid things going on around the world. But so I thought I wouldn't talk about that just to be deliberately whatever. I want to talk. We were going to talk about this whole idea months ago about God. Let's go right for about God.
I'm right here.
Why?
It's evident by the picture right there.
Yeah. Now there's the whole God thing.
I'm right there.
Okay. Oh. Good colors.
Yeah.
Good colors.
Let's not make fun of the
colors. No, we were just going to go on about it, and I was just going to say, and just to bait you a bit, and these are just baiting questions. I don't necessarily believe this. Who gives a shit whether I do? It doesn't matter. Right. That's the whole point of the discussion. So are you against, I want to ask you this, are you against I mean, religion, I think we can all agree, but are you against the idea of something being there?
No, I think there is something there. You just don't know what it is.
There is something. We just don't know what it is. Okay, because I think what is interesting is I've had so many conversations with people recently, and I've said to them, they've asked me, what do I believe in? And I said, I'm not sure anymore. I used to have a clearer idea of what I believed in. But
Right.
then as you get older, you go, maybe I was just hideously brainwashed. If I
Right.
came from another culture, there would be a different God in my sights. There would be a
Right. Right.
different. So does it? The whole idea is, I know this is a tried and tested topic, but they people have this need. I think we have this
Wait.
need. Is it a need, or is it just something that's part of us to acknowledge there is something? That's what I wanted to
Well,
ask you. Do you, or do you think we just?
hmm,
I have a problem with this idea. I don't know what it is. Like you, I don't know
right.
what it is. I used to think I knew what it was, but I scientifically, I
Hmm.
have to look at this and say something has to come from something.
Correct.
Something can't come from nothing, and
Correct.
that's where it begins. It doesn't mean we just say, well, because we can't explain something with science, therefore there must be some guy on a white cloud somewhere. Now, I'm not saying that at all, but it does beg the question: what is there? What is this? Is it something? Is it what is it? I don't know.
Well,
And
according
everybody,
to the CIA, according to the CIA, they have
right?
they have something called the
So I'm
Gateway
just putting my
Project.
prostitution document away, and I'm
Thank you very
taking out my
much.
CIA document. Okay, yes,
Document, thank you. According to the CIA, they have something called
yeah.
the Gateway Project. You can look it up, and it's a PDF file on the internet. The Gateway
Hmm.
Project used remote viewers and all this other thing. So what the Gateway Project determined is there's many dimensions, and there's something called the absolute. The absolute is where everything began. And what happens is we're all energy, which is what Einstein said as well. And what will end up happening is when you go, your energy goes back to the absolute, takes the knowledge that it learned, gives it to all the other whatever, and then you go back, you go to wherever your next stop is. That's what the Gateway Project slash the absolute came up with. Um, if you go back millions of years, there were gods with an S, right? It's only until, if you will, like the 600 CE era, when we had like Jesus Christ, so to speak, there became one God. That there's always been gods. There's never been just a God. So, but I think that has a lot to do with advanced cultures coming here, and whether they dropped us off or created us or whatever it might be. I think that has a lot to do with that we gods. Like if you read all the ancient texts from Gilgamesh to the Veshi Washi Wushi from India and all these other things, they all talk about gods. There's not a god. So it's sort of like, okay, so there's something there. And do we need to believe? I think people, because they just don't know. Then you'll hear story
Mm.
like a ghost story. Oh, you'll hear, I read this article when I was a kid, way back when. This is like in the late 60s, early 70s. And I just mean the year 60 or 70, by the way. There's no numbers in front of it. And this little kid in Germany was like 6 years old. Or I'm sorry, he was in Boston or someplace. There's no German. And one day he literally just starts speaking German to his parents and telling them stories of World War II. And like he's 6 years old, he wouldn't know. This is before the internet where you could Google, right? You'd have to go to the library and spend like a year there to learn it all. And he just did
Mm.
that. There was another one that was documented, and these are like documented by real people that document, not like like the National Enquirer. There was another one that was telling stories about how he died in World War II on a ship, and the family was like this, like your imagination's running wild, and they tracked down the family that he kept saying he used to be part of. And I was like, oh, this is interesting as I was reading it. And then all of a sudden, the sister said, I'd like to meet your son. And when they met, the little boy, who's like maybe 9 or 10, is telling the sister, who's now whatever, 50 or 60, about when they were children. And she was like, he is spot on. And it would be nothing you would know because you couldn't read it. So I think there's something there. What it is, I have no idea.
Mm.
The
Mm.
scientists can't explain it. So now there's the Thursday hypothesis. There's we're living in the matrix hypothesis. There's
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of stuff. But I think the reason we have religion, if you will, and a heaven and a hell is because the overlords want to keep us in line. Full stop.
Okay.
I don't think that's it. I mean, like religion's a scam. They've caused more wars, and like look what's going on in the Middle East. More wars than anything, right? Whether
You think
it's
that you think the Middle East, I mean, I'm just asking this out of, clarity. Do you believe that everything or most of the problems there in that region are based, is it purely on religion?
yes. I think most of the wars are Vietnam War, religion, if you will.
No, but I
You're
mean
not a
the
good.
Middle East. I'm
Yeah, no,
saying,
no, I'm
is
talking
that
about the Middle East. Middle East, yeah,
not
every
cultural, not
war.
cultural, not cultural,
No,
religious?
because here's the problem.
Mm.
I'm Jewish. Okay. You're a Christian. Congratulations. I'm Muslim. Oh, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you can't live. So, but when you go there, the Christians, Jews, and Muslims all live together. There's no problem. Now, there's the extreme sect of Judaism and the extreme sect of like the
Islam.
Hamas sect. They just want to
Yeah.
kill each other because you know why?
Mm.
You're not my religion. Same with color.
Right.
If you look at,
Right.
like, let's look at Vietnam, if you will. This is very simplistic. You're a communist. You're not a Christian. You don't believe in our God. You believe in, like, Mao or whoever you believe in, or you believe in Marxism. That's terrible. We can't have that. Seriously? We believe in Buddha. Okay, well, that's not our God. We have to go to war. What did the church do during the Crusades? You don't believe in our God. We have to kill you. So religion is a
But isn't
scam.
that isn't that, and again, it's just a question.
Right.
Couldn't it be argued then that that type of thinking, I mean, all
Mhm.
these religions, if you dig into them, they all talk about love of your brother and respect for each other,
Right.
except when it comes to someone who doesn't read from the same book as you.
Right. Right. So it's a scam.
And
It's
that and
bullshit.
that and that just it's just because the whole idea, the issue I have with it is,
Right.
look, believe whatever you want. I mean, what bothers me about it is it's a case of you're given free will,
Excuse me.
but if you don't use the free will
Right.
in the prescribed manner, then you're going to sit in a hell of fire forever. And that is the opposite of a free will.
Right.
If something made you and said, listen, I made you, I created you, there you are, off you go, you can do whatever you want.
Right. Right.
That includes rejecting me.
Right.
Surely that is the ultimate test of free will, because if you can't do that, look, I'm out there in the agnostic field. I mean, personally, that's where I am. Okay, because we don't know. We literally don't know. And that you can either get upset about it, you can try and control that, or you can just revel in that and say, well, so what? It's great. We don't know.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Mhm.
It's not going to change. And it's not going to, oh, sorry, someone's trying to call me. It's not going to change. And we just go with it and enjoy the fact, actually, that we don't know, like we're doing right now. We don't. What is wrong? I think the problem is, what is wrong with not knowing? What is wrong with that?
Because
What
to
is
the human, it's like, I'm here and then I'm not. Einstein said it best. Einstein, which I love, he said, I was dead 13 billion years before I got here. I'll be dead for another 13 billion years.
See,
And
I
I
don't
thought that
think
was
we were.
fascinating.
I subscribe to the idea, and I don't know what. This is just my opinion, of course.
Sure.
Everybody has a different opinion.
Right.
I've always felt, even when I was a kid, I realized this: if you take the dimension of time out of the discussion, if you take time out of that, then it actually changes the argument or the discussion completely, because everything we do is linear. If there's a God who created the God, and it goes back in terms of causation and creation, and so on. If you remove time from that, which is something none of us can comprehend, I wouldn't say it answers the questions, but it removes them. It's like we just were. We just are. And we can't understand that. But that's okay. We don't understand that. That's the thing I've always thought weirdly makes the most sense. We just are. I wouldn't say we were dead. I wouldn't say we were alive. We just are. And we are in different states, different conscience, whatever. And the idea being, because this has obviously come up, then people say, what is your purpose? And I say, well, learn, just become more aware. That's the only thing that at this juncture of my life that makes sense to me. You follow a path, or you follow a belief, or you follow a mantra, a dogma, whatever you want to call it, that makes you comfortable, that makes sense. you could say, I don't believe in any of this crap, and you can be an atheist, and that makes sense to you, and that's fine. But the problem I have is, if you want to promote your religion, your belief, you want, the idea being is that you want more people to join the club. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. I respect that. But the worst way to do that is to tell people how bad they are if they're not in your club. They're never going to come to your club then. And also respect people in a dignified way who choose not to come to your club, and also acknowledge that they're not bad people, they're not terrible, and the opposite is true. If someone wants to believe in something and that works for them, that's fine. But the problem with humanity is it has this inherent need to just commandeer the situation, control. And I always think, who's got time for that? Why do you care so much? If John Smith doesn't want to believe, that's fine. But can we just agree that none of us actually knows what the fuck is going on?
That's true. But
nobody
religion,
actually knows. And that's fine.
But keep in mind that religion controls the masses. That's what religion's here for. Religion is here to control you. It's not here to enlighten you. It's not here
about
to
love.
Save you.
It's not about love.
Yeah.
You don't think it's
here,
about love?
It's for control. It's like, like when you read the 10 Commandments, right? It says, thou shalt covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt steal it and not get caught if you're the president. I mean,
don't covet his slaves. Don't covet his slaves.
That's right. That's right. But you can covet his wife.
What?
Yeah, you can covet the wife, but not the slaves.
Yeah, but the slaves were okay. That was fine.
Well, look at Andrew Jackson and all those guys. They were coveting everybody. So good for them. But my point is that it's such a crock of crap. I know when there's one book, I want to say it's either the Book of Mary or the Book of Enoch, which says you don't have to go into a building to worship God. You can worship God anywhere. So to me, that's why it's a scam. It's like you have to give 10%. No, I don't. If I don't give you 10%, guess what? If there really is a God, he still loves me because he didn't build your palace. You know what I mean?
But this is the thing. I remember, I did attend a church there in Connecticut when I lived there. And there was a pastor, I remember I walked in, and the first thing he said was, they got to that point where they do the whole collection thing. And he said, I just want to, but he was an English fellow. Now I was obviously in the US, and this was an English fellow, and I was sort of an English fellow, and I thought, oh, that's quite interesting that there's an English chap doing the whole thing. But he said this, and I remember it stuck out, and it almost, I thought it was very cool. He said, listen, before all of you haul out your checkbooks and your $20 bills or whatever it is and flash it around, he said, I don't need your damn money. He used that phraseology. I don't need your damn money. This got nothing to do with me. This is between you and whatever you believe. That's it. So if you, in fact, I prefer you pass the little hat or whatever it is and just do something online anonymously. But don't, for the love of God, I don't need your money. And I thought that's impressive because for me, if your church isn't about some sort of money gathering exercise, I might go, okay, that's an interesting thing. We've got a problem in this country, here in South Africa, with what they call these prosperity ministers who go out there, and obviously there's a lot of poverty in this country, tremendous amount of poverty, and they never target, this is interesting, they never target the wealthy people, they target the poor people. They go out into these communities, they set up these churches, and they tell these poor people who haven't got 5 cents to rub together that if you give me your last 5 cents, I'm going to be able to book you a VIP ticket to heaven. And the problem is they make the most of these people and they give everything. And we recently had a guy, I think he was from Malawi. Name's not important, but he was this Malawi import. He came here, he did that. He flashed his Lamborghinis on Facebook. They eventually figured out something was going on, you think. And then he didn't call himself a minister, he called himself a prophet, which was interesting.
Oh, wow.
And then he took a ride out of the country, and of course they can't get hold of him because he's got more dollars than God right now, the God that he was telling everybody about. And he's in Malawi, and they obviously are protecting him there, which is interesting. But the crazy thing is, I think at its core, I'm not going to say I'm going to disagree with you. I think religion is definitely a controlling thing. But what is a pity, what I think is a pity, is that there are a lot of people who are looking for some form of solace, some
Yes.
form of comfort. They
Right.
want to know that it's going to be okay. And I do get annoyed with some atheist people who look down upon that. And they say, "Oh, well, you're just full of crap." No, you can't do that. That's what they want. That's what they find comfort in. That's what they want to believe. And you have to respect that. But that doesn't happen. And the reason why we're even having this discussion, I feel, is because, oh my God, somebody's got a blower outside making a noise. I hope it's not coming through.
No, we're good.
Are you good? All right. The problem is that nobody seems to respect belief or lack of belief.
Right.
It's the problem. We fight wars over it. We kill each other over it. And that literally is the opposite of what it's supposed to be. Surely.
The word that you just said is the
Yeah.
whole crux of your respect. We've lost respect
Yeah, we don't.
from day one. If you read, there's a book called The World that I read last year. It's fascinating, but it really starts off with like when there was like 10,000 people up to like yesterday. And when you read it, we're always fighting over something. No one has ever like respected. It's like, look here, look, perfect example. People come to America before it was America, the New World, and they're like, those people, those funny looking people, they'll kill them. We'll take their property. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, there's some respect. So we've never had it. And then, you go back in time and it's always been this, it's like the game of Risk. It's a conquer game, right? We're just going to conquer everything. It's kind of like American football. It's a conquer game. All we're going to do is take 10 yards every play and conquer. It's that mentality that we must conquer and win. Okay. How about we have a mentality where we all get along and help each other? Just for shits and giggles. So that's the mentality. And that's really what religion is. If you think about it, no matter what your religion is, I don't care what you are. And Buddhists probably not. They hug a tree, they rub a belly. It's a whole thing. I've seen them at Chinese
But
restaurants.
they're not really a religion, though. I've never really thought of
No,
Buddhism
Buddha, Taoism, and all that. I think is a way.
as a
Like I read the
religion.
books. Well, it is and it isn't. Like they have temples and whatever that you go and you pray and you bow, but it's more of a way of life and a way of thinking.
Yeah.
So, I think very Taoist sometimes and Buddhist, unless I don't like you. And then I think very, Crusade-ish. But anyway,
Right.
but it just depends on my mood that day. So,
Okay.
but I think we don't do that. So we don't bring everybody together. We all just want to conquer and take over and do. Let's just say there were no religion. Let's just say whether everyone was white or black or blue or green. And what would we fight on then? There'd be no difference. If we were all the same color, what would we going to fight over then?
We'd fight over, like we joked before, height. We'd figure something out. We'd find something. We'd find something to fight about.
We fight over. Okay. We fight over now. If you believe in God, let's go with that, or gods, whatever you want to go with.
Whatever you want to go with.
It's the same God or gods for everybody. So the thing then I say is, so theoretically, when the guy with the dog collar, after he's done molesting little boys, is talking about what they don't molest little boys anymore. They stopped. I don't know. I don't know. I don't go there. So
they're not happy with it. No.
Okay. Well, you never know. After they're done, or you go talk to a rabbi or you talk to a cleric, or a Christian preacher, they're the worst. But if you talk to these four, some of them won't agree it's the same God. Others will agree it's the same God. But at the end of the day, if you a man of God or gods, it's the same guy, same woman, whatever you want to. And I don't get that no one preaches unity. We preach our God is better. No, it's not. It's the same friggin' guy as this guy. And then, but why do I have to go into a phone booth, with the guy with the dog collar and confess my sins so what, he can get off? So he's going to be like, oh my God, you banged your secretary, say 40 Hail Marys, and he's masturbating in the thing. If there's a God, then in theory, I should be able to say a quick prayer and I'm done. And, it's that simple. And that's just the way it isn't. And that's the problem, because religion is a money-making institution. Look at the mansions all these guys live in private. They need a private jet because God told them that.
Oh,
And
what
told you
is?
shit. You're just a greedy motherfucker, and that's why you need a jet. So let's stop with the crap. I
Oh
hate that. They
God.
go, God wants me to have a jet. No, God doesn't want you to have jack shit, pal.
Yeah, that
God
one
wants you
guy
to,
who
yeah,
jets all over the country there, and he wanted a bigger jet or a
yeah, because
faster
God
jet.
forbid he couldn't bring all the hookers with him. So,
Oh, that's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
So I don't believe in that. So when I read like the Old Testament or the New Testament, I read about back in the day. None of these guys were like, I need a bigger cart. I need like 17 more horses. They were like, wear what I wear and I go and I do my thing. And I'm like, okay, I can go with that. You know what I mean? It's like there was a purpose to it. And somewhere along the line, we've taken this. I'm going to kind of explain what I think to you, and you do what you want with it. To we're going to make it an institution. We're going to go to war. We're going to give me all your money, and we don't really care about anybody. And so
So
on.
I
That's
so,
fascinating.
so the conclusion then I would say is that religion actually has got nothing. If whatever God you believe in, actually,
Right.
the religion, the way it's coming across, has actually got nothing to do with God at all. It's got to do with man, with what we want, how we want to control other human beings. And that the reason I bring that up is because I had a friend of mine who was he was a what do you call them? It's a terrible term, a lay minister, which I've always thought was quite funny.
Right.
Anyway, whatever. I'm not going to have a.
I want that job.
I know. I'm not going to start with that, but yeah.
Right.
But he always used to say to me, he said, the greatest threat, you mentioned the Christian church. He said that one of the greatest threats to it now, he said, believe it or not, are Christians, the people that go out there and deliver that message to people and come across with that judgment. As I say, this is something I'm just passing on. You can, because the whole point of it is supposed to be no judgment, and yet every living one is a judge. And I said to him, what does that mean? He says, most of them aren't, whatever you believe in, if you're following this text, this is not what they're following at all. And because I had this conversation with him about how as like you said, how it's created wars, how it's dividing people, how it's killing people. And he said, yes, and this is from his point of view, he said it's because people are they're not following a single thing that's being preached. They're following things that work for them. They will cherry pick things, and they will. And bear in mind, I'm playing devil's advocate here, as you can see. He would cherry pick. He said they say, I like that text. That works for me. That one, not so much. That one about slaves. Now we'll just put that aside. And that one, about smiting people who work on Sundays. We can't have that because that's when I count my money. Whatever. So we pick what we like. And the divorce thing. I mean. He said what's interesting is that in pretty much all the faiths that you listed, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all of them, nobody's supposed to touch pigs. There should be no pigs, no pork. And yet
I've seen some of the women. So it is what it is. So.
But it's cherry picked. I mean, nobody should technically speaking eat pork, for instance. And then it's pointed out that because they didn't have refrigerators, stuff like that. And there was a hygiene issue. But I want to say this to you though. What this chap that I mentioned, when there's this church that I went to in Connecticut, what the guy once said, because we had nice chats, we had good conversations. You were a very respectful fellow, very smart fellow. As I mentioned, he had this different approach to collections, and he said, because people say, why do bad things happen to good people? Why good things happen to bad people? Blah blah blah. And he said, look, you can believe whatever you want, which is the point. But he said that is because God stays out of it. And I went, okay. And I said, okay. And then my next question to him was, fair enough, I get that. So he lets his children all run around, or she lets her children run around, or it lets its children run around, or they let their children run around, whatever. We're just covering all the bases here. And free will and all that. But then what is the point? What is the point of a prayer? What am I praying? What am I? No, that's what he said. His answer to me was, ultimately, it's not going to change anything. Whatever you're supposed to do or whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. But as you say, it makes you feel, it's like talking about your problems. You talk about your problems. It's a therapy session for you, and you go, I want this, I want that. Okay, it's going to happen. And that's it. And I thought that was quite an interesting perspective. So he was saying it's not that prayer is completely useless, but it's been laid out. The management has decided.
Right. I
Trust me,
agree with
it's
that.
all going to happen. It's all
Right.
worked out. The best thing for you has already been worked out. But
Yeah.
by all means, feel like you can change the world by uttering
A
some
prayer.
words. Go right ahead with that. And that
Yeah.
makes you feel more in control. It gives you comfort and can make you feel better. And I went, okay, so really pointless then? He said, no, it's not pointless. I mean, you feel better when you go to a
Right.
therapy session, don't you? And I went, yeah, okay, I suppose so. And that's it. And what I appreciated about that answer was
Right.
the honesty.
Yes.
That's the honesty. I think what if someone was trying to promote a religious belief or a religion or an outlook, fine.
Right.
As I said earlier, fine. But then be honest. Just be
Right.
honest about it. Say, for instance, things like, we don't really know, but this is a possible path, something for you to consider. But for heaven forbid, that you don't consider it, you're not going to burn in hell. You're not terrible.
Right.
You have the right. You literally have the right to not believe or believe
Correct.
or follow whatever
Right.
path you want. That is your human God-given right. That's it.
Right. But
So
I think
if you are,
the overlords.
the
Listen,
overlords.
I don't.
Which
I
ones?
go with
Which
the
ones?
overlord.
The earthbound ones or the celestial ones? Which ones are we talking about?
I'm
now?
going. I'm
The earth-
going with the group I belong to. The lizard people and the Illuminati are the
the
overlords.
lizard people and the Illuminati. Gotcha.
And the,
All right.
the overlords. Come on.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm listen. Everything I've ever read, whether it's conspiracy theory book or whether it's just about religion or whether it's real history. When you read about religion, is to control the masses. Because back in the day, the masses were stupid. Now because I don't think
They
they
still
realized we
are.
were going to have all this technology, right? So now, if you ask people, most people
We're
don't even
stupid with
think.
better tech. We're
Right, we're
stupid with better
but
tech.
like God schmod. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
But what I'm fascinated with about religion in general is that it just one day went from gods to God. Like all of a sudden we've decided there's only one God. And I'm like, yeah, no, I have a problem with that. Because if for millions of years before we show up, there's gods, and maybe the gods are just advanced civilizations. Okay.
Yep.
And then one day, Jesus and his brother shows up, Melvin. And now all of a sudden we've got there's one guy. Could you imagine being Jesus's brother? Yeah.
James.
Mom goes, we're gonna go to the beach.
What did
Can you
Robin
imagine
Williams
going
call
to
him?
the beach?
Jimmy. No, but Robin Williams identified him. He did that thing on Robin Williams on Broadway. What was it? He called him Jimmy Christ.
Jimmy Christ. Can you imagine though? And
Jimmy,
I saw this the other day. That's what
his
I'm
name was
bringing
Jimmy Christ, and he would be sitting at the
Jimmy
pub, and people go, Jesus, how old is Jesus? Or Jesus, this. I'm Jimmy Christ. What's he ever done for me? And he does this whole set. He does this whole set on Jimmy Christ, Jesus' brother. But anyway, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
But no, that's my point though. Could you imagine though? I mean, but that's my whole thing. It's like if you go back to whether it's the Chinese, you go back to the Mesopotamians, you go back to the Sumerians, you just go back and back. There were gods. Egypt had gods.
Yeah.
And they all seem to have more technology than we did to this day. So I'm fascinated by somewhere along the line, and Graham Hancock says we forgot our DNA. Like something just came along one day and said, no, you don't remember this anymore. Snip. And we followed it. So part of it, I think, is the church, not the synagogue, and not everything else, just the church, because the church is like, no, you have to believe in this one guy with a beard and he's a white guy. And I'm like, I don't think he's a white guy, but sure, let's go with that. So, and it's just fascinating that people are ostriches or sheep and they just drone away and nobody thinks about it.
I think it gets back to my original point when I was saying that I think, and I understand this, particularly people who go through trauma or they've got a terminal disease or they know someone with a terminal disease and they see, and all of us will face this, there is an end to this. This comes to an end. And that can be a pretty scary thing. It is. Yeah. And I think there is a pursuit to find some relief from that fear, to find some comfort, and that's perfectly human. That's perfectly natural. The problem comes in when you find that comfort, which seems to work for you, and you then need somebody says you need to impose that on other people, and remove their whatever comfort they have, and that's where it all becomes unglued for me. If everybody just stayed in their lane, believed what they believed,
Mhm.
which apparently is the nature of being human and your free will, then I
Right.
think we might be okay. But it seems like we do. That's the larger question. Why do we? Do we want to share this and feel better about it? Do we want to control people? If so, why? What is it? What can't we just believe what we believe and stick with that? And if someone asks you, you say, fine, this is what I believe, but that's as far as it goes. Why do we? I think the larger question is, why are we so incapable of just letting people be? Why can't we just let people be in their belief, whatever it is? Why do we have to change their belief? What is that?
That's
There's the
not our
problem
nature.
for me.
Now,
There's
first
the
of all,
problem.
I know I get it, but that's not our nature. Here. Let's pick a religion because it's fun to pick on people. Let's pick the Mormons.
Yeah.
They go door to door selling underwear. And that's their thing. Like, do you want magical underwear? And not everybody wants magical underwear, but they go door to door. In fact, we had one a couple weeks ago come to our door, and I was
Okay.
like, and they were like, "Do
Would you
we
like some
want to talk
magical
to you?"
underwear? All right. Okay.
And I said, "I don't need any magical underwear." And he goes,
Thank
"Well,
you.
that's not where I go, dude." I'm like, "You can go. Like, go now before I let the dog
Yeah.
out."
I
And that's
said
the
no.
song. And
I
there you go.
said
Like,
no. Yeah.
right. And they go, but I'm like, why? Why are you coming to? Because you want my. First of all, you want my 10%. Listen, I give Ron L. Hubbard a lot of credit. So Tommy Cruise, hey there, come on the show. Tommy and I are going to be at the F1 in Austin next weekend. So Tommy, stop by the booth, say hello, do some stuff. Anyway,
Never watched Battlefield Earth. What a lot of crap. But anyway, carry
well,
on.
that I liked it. It was a cute movie.
Oh,
Anyway,
it's
that was John
such
Travolta.
rubbish.
So
Oh.
Scientology, Ron L. Hubbard had it right. He scammed everybody. He talks about this plan. He made it all up. It was like he was his own little god. And you know what? I give him credit. But I give him credit for all right, you came up with a good scam. Good for you, pal. And if
You
that
saw the
makes you
opportunity.
feel,
Yep.
if
Yep.
you feel good about that, then that's good. These other
Yeah.
things,
Well, it's a
because he
need.
doesn't say right. He's using, oh, you have to be pure, and I'll say, yeah, whatever, bite me. The other things are going, listen, if you don't follow our religion, whether it's you get 70 virgins or the man in the cloud or too
Right.
much BS. And I want to go, and this is what the public doesn't understand, because once again, the public doesn't read, the public doesn't think. They just go, I'm a sheep and I look at TikTok all day or Instagram. Up until I want to say it was the 13 and 1400s, we literally went from gods to God. So my question is, really, for millions of years, let's say, or hundreds of thousands of years, gods and gods and gods and gods. And then one day we're like, no, it should just be
Boom.
God now because that extra S is too much ink. God forbid that we have the Guggenheim and printer press put an extra S because that's a lot of ink and paper we'd have to use. So I'm kind of like, and here's what's really funny. 50 years from now, who knows what it'll be? The God 50 years from now will be AI. And then what do you do? Then it's going to be like we're going to be bowing to the AI God. And that in itself will be fascinating because once again, somewhere along between now and that 50 years, someone's going to go snip and we're going to forget about gods, this millennia of God, and it'll be like, oh, the AI is the God. And people are going to be like, oh, that other God, that was all ridiculous bull. This is the God. And so it seems that every, I don't know, 50,000 years, we seem to switch from whatever the latest God is or gods to the new God. And so the new God will be AI. I think that's what people will go to the church of AI. I truly see that's where we're heading because people are sheep and they will just follow whatever. And that's what I think, in my opinion, that's where we're going to go. And it'll be interesting to see because that's it, right? Because it's all seeing, it's all knowing. I see what's coming down the pike in AI. The stuff they call AI today isn't AI. It's just bullshit because it's they like, here's a book, here's a math formula, boom. But there's other companies that are doing cognitive AI, which is like really teaching it to learn and think. That's real AI, not ChatGPT and all this other happy crap. When those come online and become live, if you will, it is like creating another race of, I don't want to say people, but it's like creating another race, a super race. So a super race becomes a god. So what will be a god in 50 years? AI.
Well, we will be the creators of AI. We will be the god.
And no, we won't. God will be.
I don't know. I'm just
AI will be
theorizing because
smarter.
you
No, no, I
mentioned
know. I agree with what you're
who,
saying. We're the
who
creators.
created who created. We are the creators.
But here's what somebody said to me once. He said, and a friend of mine, his name is Kelly. He lives in the Keys. I don't know if he still lives there anymore because of the hurricane. He could be in Miami now because it could have blown him across. But anyway, what? Too soon? Anyway, we're listening. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? Anyway, but
Man
Kelly
got a
used to,
blowjob. What can you say? Anyway, carry on.
a
Moving on.
huge one, a clatter of three. He used to say to me, he said, think of it this way: like always creates like. And I always found that fascinating because in my mind, our DNA is like ones and zeros, right? It's like we're a computer code. What did we create? We
Oh,
created computers with ones and zeros. So I said to a friend of mine who's a rabbi, a real rabbi, like the Pesach, the whole 9 yards, that thing. I said, who's to say we're not AI? Who's to say that 5 million years ago,
we don't
somebody
know.
created us,
Mm.
and now what we're doing is history repeats itself, right? Go through
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden, hey, we've come up with AI. We're ingenious. And we're about to create, as Kelly would say, like creates like. And now we're
Mm.
going to create like. And 10,000 years from now,
Well,
two guys will be sitting here having this conversation that we created. And
well,
that's
there's no
it.
way to know. There's no way for us
Yeah.
to even answer that, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I remember this one chap said, before you wonder about, you ask questions like what created us, who created who.
Right.
The he theorized that whatever created us
Yeah.
is not in this equation. So it's outside of our dimension. So
Right.
it's absolutely, if you're going to go that route, if you're going to go that there's something there that created us, fair
Yeah.
enough. But it's not sitting in this dimension. It's not sitting in linear time based
Right.
with us. We are the
Right.
machine. It is outside the machine.
Right.
So, but whatever you might believe, whatever you can theorize, let's just say we are created from something. There
Mhm.
is zero chance we will figure out what created us because we are in the machine. And the only way
Correct.
you can figure out what created us is to get outside the machine. And perhaps when we finish this journey, that's where we go. But as it stands right now, we have three dimensions, and that's what we sit with.
Right.
Or time being the fourth dimension, but that's it. We are unable to comprehend outside of those four dimensions. We can theorize about it mathematically. We can theorize endless dimensions, but we cannot comprehend it. So it gets back to my original point, where what we have is humanity theorizing about what could be, for
Correct.
comfort, for solace, for an understanding of where we are. And that is absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. The pursuit of knowledge, I completely respect that. But there's a couple of things where I have a problem. First of all, trying to impose your discoveries on others. That's when then we have a problem. When your music is too loud and it comes into my yard. No,
Right.
you can play your music, but just keep your music. Or if you come to me and you say, this is what I've discovered, what do you think? Like I come and sell you magic underwear, and you go, no thanks, I don't want magic underwear. And I go, all right, Steve, that's fine. And I leave peacefully. And the end of that. If we could somehow get to that point,
Right.
that to me would be we talk about humanity. I think we've lost our humanity. Proper humans do that.
Right.
Idiotic human beings do not. We kill each other because other people don't believe what we believe. Are you shitting me? It is the absolute opposite of what we set out to achieve. We began this religious pursuit, this spiritual journey to find peace, to find comfort for ourselves, which is fine. But then imposing that on others is the exact opposite of that. And that is where I start to have a problem with this whole exercise, because you don't know. No one knows. And that's fine. And if you find something, a nugget of whatever that works for you, that's great. If you like bananas, I hate bananas, then eat bananas. But I'm not going to eat them. But you get joy out of it. That's great. Why can't we just, like you and I, whatever happens, we could pick 10 topics and we probably will have different points of view on all of them. And that is absolutely fine. In fact, the more different we are, the wider our scope of potential discovery and knowledge. If you and I have picked 10 topics and we agree on absolutely every single one of them, A, how boring, and B, we're never going to learn shit. So the point of this whole pursuit is to have different opinions, which is great. But when you start disrespecting the fact that other people have different opinions, and when you try to bring all the opinions to one point, therein lies the dilemma personally for me. That's the problem I have.
That's the problem we have. Oh, I think the best movie that pictures this is The Gods Must Be Crazy. It was filmed in South Africa. Remember, the guy throws
It's
the
the
Coke
greatest
bottle.
movie.
I know,
It's
right?
the greatest movie ever made here. Absolutely.
The guy throws the Coke bottle from his little airplane, and the tribesman finds it, and it's the whole movie about the God threw me this bottle, or whatever it is.
He wants to give it back to
He
God.
wants to give it back to God.
Exactly.
So,
it's a great movie, by the way, folks. Gods Must Be Crazy.
Gods
Brilliant.
Must Be Crazy, and I mean, and you, when you look at that, that's
Oh,
as pure
that's
and as simple
Yes.
as it is. That's it. It is the essence of it, and that's as simple as it is. The Gods Must Be Crazy. It's as simple as it is, and that's
plural, by the way, plural.
The Gods Must Be Praised. Yeah, and see, even then they knew, and that's the whole point. It's just sort of like when you go back and you talk to, whether it's the American Indian, the American Indian, or you go back and talk to tribesmen in Africa, like the Zulus or the other tribes, and they all have these dances or whatever that they've been doing for thousands of years, and it all looks like, really. Or you go and you look at, or you hear their stories, and they're telling stories about flying machines and this and that, and we're talking like they go back, 10,000 years. Or you go to the Egyptian pyramid and you start seeing what all the hieroglyphics. They go, well, it looks like a helicopter, but it's really not, or it looks like this, but it's real. Okay, let's calm down. Maybe it really is. So it's. I think, and the problem is, and the Rand report. The Rand company did a report in the late 50s, early 60s for the government and the CIA, and now it's public. And when UFOs were hovering over Washington, D.C., I mean, like, there were literally UFOs flying over Washington, D.C. in like the 1950s that were reported every day, caught on film, radar caught them, and no one knew what it was, and because of the Cold War. And what they had said in the Rand report was, this was in the 50s, it was probably changed today, is that if they knew that there was life out there, or other dimensions, or hollow earth, or whatever you want to believe, religion would crumble, the world would come to an end, governments would fall. And what they underlined out of all of that, governments would fall. Right? So if you're an archaeologist and I'm on a dig in Egypt and I find something that's millions of years old, but looks like a spaceship that's millions of years, whatever, that's telling me that we are not who we think we are. That's telling me that our technology isn't as advanced as we think. So that's why when the governments, like, they talk about Roswell happened, it didn't happen, whatever, or you get guys like Bob Lazar that talk about the alien technology. I think we're just part of this little game, and unfortunately, until a big spaceship flies over the planet and says, "Hi, we're here," people are gonna be like, "Whoa!" And I think what's really funny, and we've talked about this on other shows, people are so into this that a spaceship and an alien could stand in front of them and be like, "Hey, how you doing? There, good to see you. Okay, yeah, it's good to see you. Oh, hey, can I do a YouTube video? Thank you very much." That's what it's going to be. It's not 1950s anymore. There's no Cold War. There's no war. There's nothing you can really make fear of the people anymore. There's nothing. There's no fear. Like the overlords, what are you going to make us fear now? The only thing you can make us fear is literally either a nuclear war. So let's say Trump becomes president and lets Putin roll through Ukraine. Then NATO, that's nuclear. Okay, there's World War III. You'd be scared of that. Or you're going to have to bring in a threat from the outside. What's the threat from the outside? For being funny, like, the attack of Mars, like little green men. Okay, so you got to bring in little green men. But I don't think the public cares anymore. I think the 90% of the people on the planet go, yeah, we're not alone, whatever. Whether it's interdimensional, they live in the middle of the earth, they live on the moon, they live here, nobody cares. Stop by, say hello, leave us the hell alone. Nobody cares anymore. It's not what it was. Then you have all the videos, so I don't think people care. And it's the same with religion. people are like, yeah, okay, whatever, great. Religion, if you look at the statistics that come out from The Economist every now and then, and the Pew Institute, or you sit on a pew, and you look at all this, people that go to church or any religious, down. Everything's down. Even believing in God or gods, down. Believing in anything, down. That's what I'm saying. AI or the technology is the religion now. It's not. There's no guy in the cloud, white beard. Muhammad, all of them, Buddha. It's all gone. They don't.
The em-
No one's
the
teaching it.
emperor does what? He's lost his clothes.
The
Yeah, it's
emperor's
all.
lost his clothes. Yeah, there's no more. There's even the Pope. He has a cute hat and funny slippers, but there's no. He does. He has a very nice hat. I like his hat. He's for trick or treating. This
Uh,
guy's got it. But I'm just saying. But nobody really cares anymore. Yeah, it's okay. You're the Pope. Great. When you die, some smoke will come out of a chimney. All right, big deal. Like back in the day when I was a kid, when that would happen, you'd watch I would watch TV. Even being Jewish, but this is awesome. Like this is history. Nobody
but
cares.
but now you raise an interesting thing. If nobody cares, so let's look at that scenario. So we live in a world now. We spool forward. It's 100 years from now,
Okay.
and whether these AI gods are here or not. Let's just say, for instance, we park that for a bit. But we've gotten to a point where nobody believes in anything. So there's
Right.
like nothing. So now you have world leaders going, how do we control these people?
Mm-hmm.
Because they fear nothing. How
Right.
do you manage them? And what you now have described is potentially a situation that was in the world several thousand years ago, where people believed in nothing. We'd come out of some technology. We were dumped by some space race in Egypt or
Right.
wherever, pyramids. And they said, well, we can't have them believing in nothing, because
Right.
if they believe in nothing, they will answer to nothing.
Correct.
So we've got to create something so that so we can manage them. Otherwise, it's just going to be a riot. And
Yeah.
it does speak to what you said about the need to create a control mechanism, because it is quite scary to imagine 9 billion people, or at that point maybe 13, 14 billion people on this fairly small piece of rock that we live in, fearing no overlord, nothing. There is no control. They don't. They will laugh at humans. They will spit in the face of leaders, because they will say, "Oh, well, God's going to do this." They go, "There is no God." So you're faced with a planet full of people, all basically focused on their own self-interest, fearing nothing.
You have that
Wow.
now.
Wow. No, but Steve, there is still something left. But I'm saying we are headed to a potential era where people fear nothing. And it's all about me, mine, myself. And that's quite a scary prospect.
And here's the problem, though.
Yeah.
All these people that God wants me to have a jet. First of all, bite me, pal, and get rid of your mistress, because she's sleeping with me as well. Anyway, now the next thing about that, it's true. I have video. But here's the problem. Because of that, these pastors with their $10 million homes and their $50 million jets, it's okay for me to have it, but not them, because they're supposedly men of God. And there's a point to this. They're supposed to help the poor and the weak and the this. I am an investment banker, so I am a greedy MF. I'm not supposed to help anybody. I'm supposed to just give stuff back to the economy.
Yeah.
So these people aren't helping anybody but themselves. And at some point, and I've said this on a lot of our shows, when the lower middle class and just the people that are in poverty get to a point where they are now, so what you just said, they don't care. They don't fear anything. Look at the shoplifting in San Francisco and around, right? Like they just go and take what they want because they can't afford it. Until you fix that problem, it's good. And if you just say the orange guy gets in, he keeps raising tariffs, and he doesn't understand how a tariff works, because the consumer pays for the tariff, not the government or the country. And I actually yesterday in an Uber ride, we're talking about the presidential election. I go, yeah, Trump's not good because of the tariff. And he goes, well, China pays that. I go, no,
my God.
You pay that. He goes,
yes,
really?
you do.
I'm like, yeah. So I explained what a tariff was. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, which most Americans think that, oh, China's going to pay. No. That means what costs $1 today is going to cost $2 tomorrow, which means by the time you get it, it's $5. So by doing that, you're pushing people out of sustainable living. If you push them out of sustainable living, what happens? They get to a point where they're going to be like, this isn't working for us. And when you get, whether it's 1 million people, 1 billion people that are going to riot or cause a civil war, whether it's in a country or globally, that's a whole nother thing.
They've
Because
had
then
enough.
people are going to be like, you're
They've
right.
had enough.
Why should these people have private jets and I don't have a private jet? Why don't we work on getting everybody to a place where they can all have like sustainable housing, clean water,
Oh my God, you're talking about
healthcare?
communism, Steve.
I know, it's crazy talk, right? I mean, seriously, if we do that, you can control the populace better. It's not, listen, it's great to have money and it's great to have lots of commas in your bank account. But if you forget, the average person does not, and you forget that, one day when they come knocking at your door, and I don't mean one of them, I mean like thousands of them, your bodyguards and all your security isn't going to do anything for you. So, no one thinks about this. Even when you go to Davos and these conferences, it's like, this is how we're going to do this. And this, and basically it's how we're sticking it to the little guy. Okay, that's fine. At
Which is
some
most
point, the
people.
little guy, right? But the little guy's going to raise up because because there's just say 1% or 2% of the 8 billion people have over, we'll say $100 million. That means that there's 7 point something billion that don't.
I want to quickly say a few things. First of all, at least you're honestly greedy, which is good. You mentioned investment banker, pastor. The pastor can't have the money. The investment banker can because he's honestly. I am not making a secret of the fact that I'm looking for money. Okay, that's fine.
All right.
What did I want to say? Yeah, I mean, you had that whole disaster in where was it? Louisiana, not Louisiana. Hurricane Katrina.
New Orleans.
Katrina?
New Orleans.
Was it?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, that.
The ninth
and then you had that.
New Orleans.
And then you had that. Yeah. And then you had that big church there, which wouldn't house the people. And I think that said a lot about how they work, because you would think, what's the line? To whom much has been given, much is asked, or something like that. And yet there was a golden opportunity. They had all the resources to help people, and they went, "Yeah, you're going to have to go next door because we're not." And I remember when that happened, I thought, "Wow, that is very." Not that I believed any of that crap as it was, but I think that's what drives people away when you put out a message like that, and people can see so obviously that it's bullshit. And as you say, one day they will come knocking on your door. And I know what I wanted to say. I thought it was pretty rich the other day when I saw the footage of our big famous export, Mr. Elon Musk, who I call an elongated Rusk at that rally, which was quite amusing. I mean, if I still considered him a compatriot, I would find it hideously embarrassing. But Stevie's all your problem right now.
Thanks a lot. You can have him back anytime.
No, he can. You keep him. Fine. Let's keep him. It's fine. And I watched the two of them there. You've got one. Trump is sort of a billionaire, I suppose, and obviously Elon is, and there they are. And you've got these two billionaires on stage moaning about freedom of speech and complaining about all the things that happen to them. They're billionaires. The one owns a media company, one owns a space company, the one's got a social network company, and they're moaning about things like how terrible it is, how they've been victimized, and how they can't have freedom of speech. And I just went, geez, like 300 million people can't be that unbelievably stupid, surely, to believe these people. But I mean, whether you're red or blue, I don't give a shit. But you've got two of the dumbest people on the planet telling you how they're going to save your life. I mean, I just went.
And here's what's worse.
And these are the people that moan about how Africa is not bright. Wow.
Right. But here's what's worse than all of that. Harris and her VP candidate. If they would put out a halfway decent, strong message and not keep the Democratic line, if they would talk about the economy, about this, about that, could actually win the election. And really, it's boiling down to Trump. I read a thing today in the in Bloomberg, and Trump at his latest rally said, if you're an American and you don't live in America and you want to live in another country, I'm going to make it that you don't pay taxes anymore. You don't have to you don't have to file every year with the IRS as an expat. So I sent that to a friend of mine, and I wrote, this is very powerful if he really can do it, because Congress has to pass the law, right? So he can't do it. Congress has to pass the law, which most Americans don't know. They think Trump can do it. Oh my God, it's Trump. So,
well, he's not a king. Yeah.
Right. And he wants to be. So I'm like, that's interesting. So he's saying that because what he wants now is all these wealthy people that aren't voting for him to go like, well, I'll leave America and I don't have to pay tax.
Yeah.
And he won't get it. Congress probably won't pass it because they're going to be like, we're going to lose billions of dollars. So it's very interesting. He's playing on the lowest common denominator, which is money and greed.
Yeah.
And no one's talking. And the Democrats, the Miss Harris is not talking about anything. It's please, nobody is. They're talking about crap.
I will say, we've got to wrap this up, but I will say that I've always thought, you can say what you like about him. He rambles a lot and he does whatever, but the man ain't dumb, or he's got some very smart people working for him. Or if he's trying to convey, or if people think he's dumb, I go, that's what they want you to think, that he's this harmless guy who's just rambling.
Oh,
he has got a smart, whether you, as I say, red or blue, don't give a shit. He has a very, very smart team behind him, because for all the bitching and moaning about him, he is still very popular. He's tracking well with a lot of people. And yes, that election is going to be close, no matter what you may think. And I hadn't heard what you said about him saying that, but I know a lot of expat Americans who would be very happy with that message, that they wouldn't have to, they don't live in the country and they bitch about that. I told you about my friend who had the same problem. And that's a very powerful message. So you just have to promise it, build a wall, keep all the Mexicans out and away. You don't have to actually do it, but at least it looks or it sounds like you care and you're listening. And as you say, that is the problem. That's people.
And that's it.
Anyway, that's
thanks for watching.
That's a whole nother topic.
We will be back next Thursday with Uncle Rob, and God knows what we're going to talk about. If you missed the show live on Thursday, you can watch the rebroadcast on Sunday mornings. And since this show is going to be called "The Gods Must Be Crazy," for you religious people, this should be really great for you. So
great branding. I like it.
There you go.
The gods must be crazy. I love it.
Watch the show. Everybody, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, leave your comments, or don't leave your comments, either way. And we will see you all next week. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to this Roald Woods, Rob Vega, whatever the hell he wants to call himself, fellow. You know, this podcast thing, it makes him feel very important, and he's a difficult fellow as it is to deal with. So thank you so much for putting up with him, and do take care.